Are you here for Leaders Lead the podcast? Let's go. Hey, how did you beat me? Look, let me tell you about this podcast. We got like 5 seconds. Leaders Lead the podcast is about leadership. Not just the leader without, but the leader within. All of these leaders that I'm talking to across the country, well, across the world now, they have one thing in common, and that's that they have overcome some insurmountable obstacles to get to where they're at today. Come on, let's go. Welcome to On the Record, a special candidate spotlight series designed to help voters get beyond the ads, the mailers, social media posts, yard signs, and headlines. Our goal is simple: to give candidates an opportunity to share who they are, what shaped them, what do they believe, and why are they asking for your vote. Today, I'm joined by Ashley Fedan, candidate for Washington State House 11th Legislative District. Welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm super happy to be here. This is fantastic. Thank you.
I'm super happy to be here, too. I'm glad we finally hit record. We were having a really good conversation, and we thought maybe we should bring in our listeners and our viewers on this amazing conversation. I'm really excited to have this with you. Before we talk about politics, I want to ask you, who is Ashley Fedan?
Ashley Fedan is a relentless, with boundless enthusiasm, leader who advocates for her value systems and the value systems of the community. And it is like, if any resume or application I've ever put on that, about yourself, it's relentlessly optimistic and with boundless enthusiasm. So that kind of that's what I'm bringing forth with this adventure, running for office. But when you talk to patients that I take care of, or causes that I'm involved in, I'm a train that just kind of goes right through and lifts everybody up along the way.
I believe that. I see that. I see that in you. And I was, I think I sent you a message the other day where I was like, oh man, I really love these videos that you're doing, because I could really see that enthusiasm. And I really feel like we need people like that to continue to freaking just running things over and breaking things up, because there's so much change that need to happen right now. I read in your bio, I think it was on your website, that you were born and raised in West Virginia. And so I'm curious, what values from your upbringing still guide you into your life today?
There's a couple of them. So I grew up in coal mining country. I actually had coal mines in my backyard. So I know what mountaintop mining feels like whenever the explosions happen and shake your house.
Wow.
And also what abandoned mines look like prior to mountaintop mining when they went underground. I know the impact it has on the environment. I know what it looks like to have union workers who are generational into a legacy of a profession, which is at that point in time was mining. So like they were able to, after high school, have a livable wage and have protected jobs to really ensure that their family and the Morgantown and West Virginia economy could stay above ground. I also know now what it looks like when workers' protections aren't being well protected through deaths in the coal mines. It was very much not uncommon for miners to get trapped, have explosions and whatnot. Environmentally, I didn't know what the creek water wasn't orange until I was about 12 because of the sulfur that ran off of the coal mines. So I didn't know like fish that beyond guppies lived in creek water. And my dad worked for the National Institute of Safety and Health, NIOSH or OSHA. And he actually, while we lived there, he looked into, lung problems like black lung, popcorn lung for those who got fibrotic lung from breathing the fake butter flavoring, silicosis from mining and fracking. So all of that kind of moves into advocacy and protection of those who don't have voices to speak for themselves. We know what happens when people aren't listening, right? bad things happen where you're not paying attention to your workers, your neighbors, your community, when you're taking the purview of the wealthy corporations who see them as line item, budget things, as opposed to actually humans who have families and a life to live.
You mean the billionaires don't know everything?
Warren Buffett might know something.
Yeah.
Same house. He is not. He doesn't have a yacht parked in Lake Union right now that is could feed a small country. Which I find pretty. Yeah, no, they don't know everything. They know a lot of things. They know a lot about access, and they're not willing to really share that access with so many of us who would benefit from having that knowledge and, availability to things like healthcare or mental health or food or just one house, not to mention a yacht and several houses and an own private island.
That's interesting. You bring that up about Warren Buffett. Every time I think about him now, I think about him driving his old Lincoln Continental. I think they said is what he drives. And he has like a chain that he gets out of his car, undoes the chain so that he can drive in, get out, and then put the chain back into his house. But he's like you said, he's not living in a big old mansion or anything like that, but just novice means, but taking care of people. His employees are probably living better than him. That's insane, right?
Well, so he has the gift of, the gift of giving back. So all of his wealth. So I've been with patients when they've died. So for those who don't know, I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse anesthetist, and part of my job working in the ICU is, in nursing, you either help people into the world, you help people stay in the world, or you help people leave this world. And I can guarantee you that every time I've been with the patient holding their hand as they're taking their last breaths, the sky does not open up and a whole bunch of money doesn't fall on you for you to take you either into the afterlife or whatnot. Like it doesn't happen. So I don't know why these so wealthy, significantly wealthy people who can buy private islands are really worried about their wealth when you really can't take it with you whenever you go.
None of it.
I've never seen it. If it does happen, someone please let me know, because that would be an amazing episode for you to discuss. Living with it, and people need to be able to understand that community is all of us. It's not just the 1% or the 5%. It is, studies have shown that when you give back to your community, not for tax write-offs, but when you give yourself to the community, when you volunteer your time or mentor, one's quality of life goes up. You get that dopamine, that endorphin, that love, that actually allows to lift other people up and progress into where they can deserve to be.
I can see that. When you were growing up, did you ever imagine that you would one day be running for public office?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
More.
Well, when I was 12, speaking of West Virginia, it still continues to have the lowest education system in the state, besides for the country. When I was 12, the teachers went on strike, and I was thinking, days off school, because I'm 12. It's like, yeah. And then the teachers were talking about it. I was an empathetic and dramatic child. I'm almost 50 now, but you can imagine me at 12. This sounds, mega.
I'm pretty dramatic too, so we're in good company.
And I remember the teachers crying and being so super upset because they're loved to teach and be there for the students. And I know there were students, classmates, that this is where they've got their food. This is where they had their breakfast and their lunch. This is where they were safe when their households were not safe, right? And witnessing that struggle of advocating for oneself, and also knowing that you're making a really difficult choice between, a livable wage for yourself and supporting the people that you've dedicated your life to supporting. I wrote a letter to the governor. That was my first taste of advocacy. And I asked for his impeachment because he didn't back up on his campaign promises. I was 12. My handwriting was phenomenal. And ever since then, I've been politically very active and very aware. So that the seed was planted very, very young. And if you talk to my family, they would be like, she's a born politician. And I just think that it's accumulated up until this point. I'm really worked and focused on growth and and leadership. I mean, this is Leadership Leads, to really make systems better, to improve people's lives one way or another.
Damn,
And the next
12 years old. That is incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it made me think about, that's how Prince got his start in, I was just going to say politics, but as far as advocacy, his teachers were going on strike, and one of the earliest videos that they have of him was him saying, "Yeah, they need to pay these teachers more money." It's just this like wee little guy, and he's just being an advocate, and that's what continued him fighting the way that he fought for other artists so that they can get what they rightfully deserve, was from that core memory of him being a little boy and seeing his teachers fight for the same things that you're saying that you saw.
I actually have a tattoo of, this is actually Purple Rain.
Oh no! Are you?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Oh no, he magnificent human creature. And what's sad for him, and just, what my grandfather was in the military. I apologize. Well, I am a squirrely conversation person, so Tony, please feel free to redirect me whenever possible. So the day he died, we were in the process of burying my grandfather in Arlington National Cemetery. He was a lieutenant commander in the Navy, and during the Second World War, he navigated blimps. So my service in the military is actually generational. My grandfather was cool. I had pictures of the Statue of Liberty with like artillery around Lady Liberty at that time, something that you would never contemplate seeing now. Anyway, Prince, the morning that Prince died, I have a second cousin who, when you meet new people in your family that have always been around, but you never met them, you're me, but at your generation. And my uncle, I call him Uncle Ray. He is me of my dad's generation. He's like, "Can I give you a ride to the cemetery?" I'm like, "Sure, Ray, this is great." We're just chatting it up, and he pulled up in a little red Corvette.
What?
And so I'm like, first of all, Grandpa, you end up being where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be there. I had no idea what kind of car he rode. And I was like, the symbolism and moment of that, like mourning the loss of a burying a grandparent who I adored, and also losing an artist to, of all things, an overdose, for me in healthcare is a horror. It's unnecessary. It kind of all came together into part of my hieroglyphics of, you similarly, I do my job because I love to take care of people, not for the money not for the financial rewards or the ego rewards that come with it. It really keeps me grounded. Very, very similar mindset to my bucket list that I'll never get to see perform Prince.
Yeah. Go to like the tribute bands, which those I went to one, and I was just like, this is not the same. This is not the same.
And what I love about him as well is the mentorship of the music industry that he was able to navigate. Janelle Monáe, even today's artist, Janelle Monáe. Janelle, I have dogs. Hi guys. Janelle Monáe, that's Zane. He's brain. He's so Zane. He thinks the song is about you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, thanks, Zane. Texas. But also if you think of, opportunities for Sinead O'Connor to find her way, or the Bangles, Lizzo, Shaka Khan, I Feel For You. One of his first performance tapes that he put was him singing I Feel For You. I feel for you. I think I love you. And that's Prince. Like, he just wasn't his own story, but he lifted so many other people up into that realm of musical genius.
And that's leadership.
That's leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. What first drove you into healthcare?
My mom is a nurse. My stepfather was an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and my dad, did research, and my stepmother was a statistician. You put that in a Vitamix, you get me. You get the blender. I'm a nurse anesthetist. So I I grew up with lap sponges, like the sponges with the little blue loop on it, and the bathtub as a washcloth. Syringes, I didn't have, people had rubber duckies and sharks that spit out water, that play in the. I had syringes, so I would drop. So, and it's. I'm blessed to be one of those people that it just fit who I am. When I was 18, my first clinical experience, I had a wet to dry dressing on a paraplegic who couldn't feel anything from the waist down. And so she had no pain, which is, it's actually a paraplegic. But the bonding experience of like, come on, girl, get that dressing all in there. Like I fell in love with the job and taking care of people immediately.
Wow.
It's what I'm, and as a nurse anesthetist, it just kind of funnels into the taking care of the most vulnerable at one of the, the most vulnerable time of someone's life is when you're trusting someone else in your hands.
Oh yeah.
And for me, when I'm drifting off someone for surgery, I'm really breathing for them. I am keeping them asleep. I'm keeping them alive, keeping them stable. There is no control over their body. And my job is to really, one, make sure they go through surgery and wake up, but also two, to ensure that they feel safe and comfortable and trusting, that trusting bond that you have with the patient to say, I'm going to take amazing care of you. You're going to stay asleep. You're going to be safe. You're going to wake up comfortably. It's a beautiful moment. It's one that I value. That trust is something that is an unbreakable bond. Again, that's why if I feel someone is too sick, I'm canceling their cases because they are more important than the check that I might get afterwards. That's the whole Prince moment, right? You're like, as the entity, as a human, I'm here to protect you, not necessarily be of service to the surgeon or, whomever else might profit and benefit off of having the services.
Wow. I read that you spent a lot of years working in what is it, cardiothoracic intensive care units. And I was curious. I was just like, damn, man, that sounds like a hell of a workplace. And I was wondering if that experience taught you more about resilience in people. Yes.
There are some stories of people that actually I'm still in contact with their families who, the one gentleman I'm thinking of, he passed about 5 years ago. But the reason why, like he needed a heart transplant. It's had heart cardiomyopathy, needed a heart transplant, got a heart transplant. Heart went to mush once it got attached. It just failed immediately. Had to get another heart device, which bridged him to getting a secondary heart transplant. And he was able to live for another 15 or 20 years. And like, I took care of him every night, myself and another nurse whose Deanna has passed. She died a while ago. But she, myself, and this is where the whole sense of community, made a plan of care with his daughter and his wife, who were also determined for this man to live and live a good life, not just, he was riding Harleys, before he died. He was living his best life. It was great. But you build a plan of care with those surrounding you who knew him best to make sure that we were able to sustain. So I remember playing the music that he wanted to, this was before streaming. So I would buy CDs and bring them in. So at night shift, he could fall asleep and listen to music that he liked. I would give him foot massages, just because sometimes, that sensation of touch and relaxing. If he wasn't a foot person, I wouldn't have done that. But to have the good healing sleep that he needed. There's a number of absolutely wonderful stories of people living. And then there's, horror stories of seeing a woman get a pulmonary embolism, die. And then we did a C-section in the ICU, trying to maintain the life of I think it was a 28-year-old baby. 28-week fetus baby. And baby also passed. And having to navigate, you still have to work. There is that happens. You do the care necessary to honor the lives lost. her daughter and husband or partner were also there. So we also had, the emotional support for them, because she came in with shortness of breath and she was dead 12 hours later.
Oh, no.
So with that life, with that choice, that experience, resilience is part of it. Self-care is part of it. The whole process of nursing is you're bringing people in, you're helping them stay, or you're helping them leave. You accommodate all of those fields to be proficient and hopefully excellent at what one does. We tried incredibly hard to save her. Like, it wasn't like it was. We had we did everything. There was nothing else that could be done. Like, it was the fate of whatever was going to happen. And she's not alone. I mean, that happened, especially labor and delivery and gynecology care is a completely different. That will probably be a different podcast, because I have stories on that too. But yeah, resilience and also the teamwork of supporting each other afterwards, like the debrief of bonding with your fellow coworkers, making sure that the husband is okay, the daughter is okay. I think she was about 6.
Mm.
This was over 20 years ago, and it still is carried with me.
Still in your gut, yeah.
And it gives you an appreciation for the people that you're taking care of.
Wow.
You hold well, and it's in ways it's part of that legacy of her life, is making sure that the vigilance and care that was offered to her continues as my profession and my nursing career manages. And running for office, like, that story still holds. So with legislation that goes to obstetric care or prenatal, postnatal care, all of that I carry that story with me to best advocate for pregnant people.
Mm. Yeah, because you've been there, and you've been in the trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of trenches, you followed your family's tradition of service when you joined the Navy Nurse Corps.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that decision?
Yeah, it's a very similar call to service. You and I think we're about the same age, so we went through the first the first Kuwait War, right?
When you said Korean, I was like, I don't know.
No. The first Middle East War.
Yeah.
Seeing the veterans come back.
Mm-hmm.
Working with, being very close with my grandfather, seeing the nature of service when he would go on base. And once I became a CRNA, it was time to take care of those who took care of us. That really was my driving, is that call to service of our service members, whether they're stateside, abroad, in conflict, they put their lives on the line to make sure that our country is safe and free. And there is no bigger devotion than taking care of those who take care of us, making sure the civilians and everyone here, although things are chaotic in our world and in our purview in our country right now, those service members are still, on the front lines to maintain, keep, and expand freedom. And being able to take care of them was an immense honor. And I trained medics who went into the field. I was a safety officer. So people, you have young teenagers and 19, 18-year-olds who are still trying to figure out how to use a grill, right? Like, who hasn't almost lost their eyebrows lighting a gas grill?
Oh, yeah.
I still I pushing the red button, and making sure that they are, when called to duty in the reserves, that they are able to serve the country as well. And so, and being very empowering them with knowledge, empowering them with health, telling them to cut back on the monster drinks and whatever, there's energy drinks, and helping them navigate, having to get immunization. I mean, some of the funniest things are that, like, the immunizations, you have these big, like, purely just amazingly fit human beings, and they get their flu shot, and they're talking them through why it's okay to behave and why our bodies react that way, like empowering them with the knowledge of, like, it's not me, it's everyone people pass out all the time. It doesn't demonstrate weakness or weakness or fear. It's just your reaction when challenged.
What leadership lesson from the military do you think the government could use more of today? That's kind of a loaded question.
It's a deep question. I'm going to call that loaded. A good leader in the military will ensure that the enlisted and the officers that serve under their privilege eat first. So, and I see that as, we are in our communities aren't doing the best job of making sure that we are taking care of others before we take care of ourselves. And I think that that's leadership wise, that is the most applicable one to navigate. And it's one that holds true to me. Yeah. But if you think about any one corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, profit leaders, imagine what our world would look like if they followed that philosophy of, I'm making sure that the homeless have homes. I'm making sure that children are fed, that people with mental challenges have the access to care they need to be able to gain confidence to work in our very complicated world, to manage in our complicated world. Imagine if they did that as opposed to looking at their stock portfolio. Imagine the potential that we would have in our country and our communities if that was the case. It's kind of.
Yeah. That was good. That was really good.
It's not a controversial question. It's a very, very, and that, and now that this is on tape, it's going to be one that I'm going to be holding this is the best part about recorded stuff. This is things that, like in 3 years, or if I win in a year and a half. So Ashley,
yeah, I
have this on video. What have you done to navigate this? And it holds me. There's an accountability portion to that really, that I appreciate. It's holding it's the standard. It's my standard.
Yeah, yeah. You've cared for people during some really vulnerable moments of their life, and I want to thank you for that. I was curious, how has that shaped the way that you think about public service and the way that you're going to lead once you do win?
I like the manifestation on that. I appreciate that. The nature of let me just try to rephrase the question because my blonde brain. It's how am I going to maintain service to the community? Mm-hmm. You have to show up. You have to be present. Sometimes being present means you sit there, you listen. And when people have commentary or things that even may feel uncomfortable, it's not about your feelings. It's about how you can use the system and work the conduits and the systems that are in place to get an outcome that serves these people. It is one thing I work in places that are considered to be controversial, gender affirming care, reproductive health care, abortion care.
Why is that even? That's weird.
But it is.
Yeah.
It should not be. Land of the free, home of the brave. That includes all genders, walks of life, body autonomy, all of those things. But sometimes, I like we were talking beforehand about the legislative district having a very high sexual trafficking rate that equates to North Seattle and that Aurora area. I didn't know about that until last week when I went to a summit. You didn't know about it. No. Sitting in that room and listening to the failings of the current system was profoundly uncomfortable, knowing that I live in this community, that I work in this community. And sometimes it's not about my voice that needs to be heard. It's sitting there, listening to their experience, listening to what's worked. Find the aspects of that are workable, that continue to work and expand on scale to make sure that we can ensure that 13-year-olds aren't trafficked to wealthy men
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's uncomfortable to think about. It's uncomfortable to process, but it is happening. And it's not about, my discomfort is nothing in comparison to what those children and people who are being forced to sell their bodies are experiencing.
Yeah.
So you got, yeah, and that's including, with those who are unsheltered or those who are, holding their cardboard signs saying, anything helps, God bless. And I believe that when someone is in unsheltered circumstance, no one aspires to live in a tent all on the side of an interstate. Like, I don't know of anyone who's 13 or 14, 15 years old, that's their lifelong dream. And lifting those and being with that population, being with those individuals, offering them, water or Gatorade or nourishment. I once had a dog blanket, had a dog with them. If you can, I'm a dog person, I'm an animal person. And it was cold, and I gave them the blanket out of my car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being present in those people, being present and with those who need, those who society likes to pretend are a problem or a nuisance because they simply exist.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can't fathom that. That is crazy, but it happens
all the time.
Yeah.
We just don't like to see it because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Our discomfort is more important than their lived experience.
Was there a moment in your healthcare career where you realized that some problems just could not be solved inside the operating room or hospital?
The issue with healthcare isn't necessarily the providers that are offering and providing the care. It is the system. And as long as, obstetrics is a great example of this. I took care, women of color are often, their outcomes for being pregnant and their survival of pregnancy and the complications are horrific. Me at the bedside in moments of urgency can only do so much. It is the system that needs to change when it comes to disparities. And that's provider related, but it's also systems related. And until the healthcare systems and the entities actually navigate that land it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to say, oh, no, we take care of everybody the same. Well, no, you know what? That's not accurate. Studies have shown that's not accurate. We don't do it, like a new study just came out with racial disparities in pain management, and people who are heavily melanated, Black, brown people are treated much differently with pain management circumstances than white people. That's a systems challenge. That isn't just a provider challenge, right? So our awareness and to navigate that has to change through the systems, and we're slowly making it. I like to think I'm a relentless optimist, but it's far too slow. Far too slow.
Way too slow.
Way too slow. Painstaking. Literally painstakingly slow.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you what do you think that policymakers and healthcare systems miss when it comes to the actual patient experience?
They miss the person. They miss that it's a person. Our medical charting systems that we have in the healthcare industry, Epic and others, aren't actually a medical charting system. It is meant to maximize your billable revenue from your hospital, your experience. Yeah, it's not a communication tool. Yeah. Take that in. So Epic.
Wait a minute. So when I'm there at, I was about to say the company's name. So when I'm there at the hospital and they're typing in Epic and they're asking me all the questions about the medication, is this medication still in? You still doing this? And they're charting. It's not for my benefit.
I'm sure it is some for your benefit. But every time a question is asked, or there's the flagging of, oh, we can bill for this or this complication. So if you say you're on a high blood pressure medicine, but you're there for, carpal tunnel surgery or something, I'm just throwing stuff out. Like there's different entities on your comorbidities, the medications that they have to provide for you. That's your medication that you get in house. A lot of times are billable. The services that you're getting are billable. The tests that you get are billable, and they do this to make sure that one, they're compliant with entities like Medicare, Medicaid, so they can stay open because they have to be Medicare certified to take care of Medicare patients. But it is legitimately meant to ensure that your coding is appropriate so they can get paid. Back in the day, and the communication is there, but and on top of that, every entity doesn't have the same access to your chart. So every profession doesn't have all the information. We get pieces that are related to why you're seeing me, as opposed to full patient aspects of things. So it's not like you're looking at your old healthcare chart, the big paper, and sit there and fold through and you read through all the notes and everything like that. It is that is a communication tool. Was it effective? Yes. Was it efficient? Nah. My handwriting is atrocious. So anyone who tried to read my notes would be like, I would pass it. No one would know I wrote about a patient because my computer has ruined my handwriting. But it is legitimately a billing service. Your acuity billing service.
Damn.
Level of care billing services. The number of minutes that you're in the operating room, that in and out time isn't, some of it's the time of the surgery, but it is also to accommodate for the amount of time that you were in the operating room so they can get an adequate amount of funding. Every piece of equipment that gets entered into the computer for a surgery is a billable tool. So you're charged for it.
Wow. You're blowing my mind right now. Will you get in trouble for saying this stuff?
If I can take it. No, I mean, and that's the thing is that, when you're looking at the healthcare system and the healthcare industry, there's a lot of great things that we're doing. I mean, you're looking at cancer treatments. We're looking at, people our lives are hopefully pivoting and improving. We don't have the same healthcare system that we had 25 years ago. Technology has improved, like cardiac ablations, like I say, cancer treatments, IVF. People are able to have families that were not able to have families before. There's a lot of really great things that have come out of our healthcare system, but there's also some things that have gotten, taken over things a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Money.
Did you hear about that doctor that she was in the middle of a surgery? I think she was doing some reconstructive surgery for a patient who had cancer, and the insurance company called her basically to contest the patient's stay. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Does that happen?
That is not that. I'm glad that was recorded. I think it's a very it demonstrates the assertive nature of our health insurance companies to hold on to their money for as much as they can. I have not had to wake up a patient to qualify for their surgery, right? So I don't know what I would have done if that would have been me. So good for that surgeon for posting and talking about it. I have, however, sat with people who wanted to have sedation for, a gynecologic procedure, and have had to navigate the phone call of over 45 minutes to ensure that the comfort measures necessary for, say, a sexually traumatized patient would be covered. Reason being, I was at a Catholic facility, and the insurance is the administrator who doesn't work in healthcare. It's not the administrator's fault. It's a job for them, that you can't qualify for an IUD in a Catholic system because it's Catholic. So therefore, no, we're not covering. What? It eventually worked out. But that 45 minutes is a 45-minute delay for other patients. That's inefficient. It would have been, and I'm relentless, like this, the term relentless qualify this. I wasn't letting this go. Like, I wasn't going to say, you know, we'll just have us go through this again. We'll reschedule you for next month. No, I was going to make sure this person had access to care today. But if you have to get a provider the day of surgery to make sure that comfort is, you know, maintained and paid for, not out of pocket, but because they have insurance. This is why we have health insurance. If they needed me to be on the phone for that, I can't imagine how many other patients that are seeking care that have to jump through all the hoops and do the best they can to advocate without having a healthcare provider nearby or in their family.
Yeah.
By the way, the procedure takes 10 minutes.
Wow. You're on the phone for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm at this point where, like, in my mind, I'm like, damn, how come I didn't know all of this? It's almost like I'm waking up for the first time ever, where I'm just like, I thought, and yeah, and I know this is wrong, but I'm like, there was a point of time in my life where I'm like, there's no way that the insurance companies are for their own benefit. These insurance companies are for me. The VA is for me. It's all for me. They're here fighting for me. And it's so disappointing to wake up at the age of freaking 43 and realize that could be the farthest from the truth.
Yeah. TRICARE in the VA is a single payer system that is actually pretty effective. The downfall with the VA is that they have an efficiency problem, and because they are the lowest paying of all healthcare systems for providers, not a lot of people go into it. But the VA is a single payer system. The VA actually does a fantastic job of taking care of our veterans when they're able to. TRICARE is also very similar. Medicare is single payer systems. They make it complicated, so therefore you can't fight them.
Mm-hmm.
They make all the billing codes really, really, R0.826 for, like, you just can't label the diagnosis. You have to have an actual code that goes with it. If one thing is messed up, they'll decline. If your timings are off, they decline. If you have, they do everything possible to make sure they can hold on to the money that they have, which is not working for you. Back in the day, though, when you and I were younger, we were able to afford and go see our pediatrician or go see somebody. And our parents, when we went to the emergency room, I don't recall my parents ever freaking out about how much this is going to cost, or we can't go see the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the money for the copay. I think the systems have evolved over time to benefit, insurance companies and the wealthy, not the patients at hand.
I am so glad that you are signing up to fight the system for us, and especially making it to where there's actually bills that prevent us from getting harmed. Like, I'm really, really excited for you running. And I was curious, take me to the moment where this whole running for office went from an idea to, you know what, this is a decision, I'm doing it.
It was the murder of Alex Preddy.
Really?
It was, he was an ICU nurse. And I've been very politically active. So it wasn't like I was like, running for office. Like, I've been involved with multiple boards, my legislative district, and two of the districts that I work in. I've lobbied in Olympia. I've always been very, very focused in advocacy and making sure people have access to care, affordable access to care, and other things.
No, I know. I saw you and Gina. You know who I'm talking about?
No. Oh, Gina. Her name is Gina.
Gina, it's your stuffed cat, right? Was it a stuffed cat? I saw. I did some research on you. I saw you at the DNC.
I'm going through the Rolodex of, like, what legislator's named Gina? Yes, that's for all the childless cat ladies out there that Vice President Vance didn't think was worthy of time from our federal government. I still have, yeah, Gina's in the closet. Gina. It's technically it's Gina, but you can understand why the cat burst would be called Gina.
Gina, I got you.
Yeah. But that was great. And Gina made the rounds, man. Gina got pictures with everybody. Everyone loved Gina.
I think it was like on the cover of NPR, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Actually, my therapist recommended me getting a cat purse, which is even better. It wasn't even my idea. I can't take credit for it. I have an amazing therapist, because mental health is super important, that suggested that, and I was like, it's game on. So yeah, obviously it's a creative process of bringing things forward, and advocacy has always been, and there's always meaning in my clothes too. I always try to bring meaning. Like it's obviously Pride Month, and these are actually whistles for when I'm patrolling with ICE, against ICE, to let immigrants and undocumented people know that they're nearby. So it's an easy takeoff, blow, and hopefully can help people disperse to find safety. So it's wearable fashion. But back to Alex Preddy, if I were in Minneapolis, again, home of Prince, right, home of proper activism, I would have been that person to say, are you okay, or do you need help, at that period of time? It would have been me. It would have been any number of my colleagues, any number of my peers, and seeing the shooting of him, doing what so many of us would do. It was the call. Just like I had the call to serve in the Navy, to take care of those who, making sure our freedom. That was when I had the serious conversation with my husband about, like, what do you really think about this? Because I'm not going to do it. He's my life partner. He's my best friend. If he was like, this is not the time, my marriage comes first, like, he's my rock. But he's been supportive and amazing. That was when we had the crucial conversation, and I started talking to people to see if one of it was viable, see if it was a good idea, because it's not about me. It's about service. And I went from there.
Wow. So why this office, and why now?
My theory for running for office, when I lived in the 28th, I really appreciated and admired those who served. So Twana Nobles, Mari Levitt, Dan Bernowski, all of them fantastic people. I moved to the 11th. I was asked prior, like, why haven't you run for office? Why aren't you going to run for office? And I said, I will hold off on running for office until I feel that someone isn't leaning into the job, or standing up and doing what, and showing up. And my opponent in 2025 showed up for only 47% of their votes. It's a paid job. Being an elected is a paid job, right? You're to be of service to others. And then if you can't show up for the job, there's redundancy. So if you can't do the work, you ask for help. Like, if I can't do the job, one asks for help. Like, when I'm someone having trouble in the OR, navigating a health crisis from a patient, I don't sit there and go, no, I'm fine, it's okay, and let things land where they are and pray for the best.
You say only showed up for 40-something% of the votes. Like, just, do you mean like to work?
I don't know. There's no record of attendance. The only attendance I have is voting record. And 53% of the time, my opponent in 2025 was not there. Didn't ask for help. We have a precinct committee officers where people can appoint someone else into that process if you're not able to serve. That didn't happen. I have no attendance record for 2026 because it's not available online. But if you look in the community, and when you show up in the community, people aren't showing. If you're not showing up, if you're not leaning in, if you're not listening, if you're not navigating those challenging conversations and sitting in discomfort with them to learn and grow and evolve in that process, because again, it's about service. For me, you're not doing the work. So that's why I chose the position one. And it has nothing to do with him personally. I think he's a super nice guy. Like, we'll go, have beers and hang out and laugh and talk about it. It's not a personal thing. A lot of times I consider myself running with versus against, because we're all under the same umbrella with very, very similar values. It's how we approach it. But I can say, when I don't show up 50% of the time for my job, if that were to happen, at critical moments, patients would either die or not have access, or I would not have a job. And so I hold that standard of the working class people as well to that of our legislators. You have to show up. Like, people will lose their job. Our working class families with no protections will lose their jobs if they had a similar attendance record. And our constituents deserve to have that sort of vigilance and attention.
Agreed. What do you think are the biggest concerns that you're hearing from the folks in your district?
People are really tired of polarizing politics. Like, they are exhausted by polarization of the otherisms that have, them. I can't stand them. And like, that entity is still, people in our families, it's our neighbors, it's our fellow congregants at church. And whenever you put that boundary up, and I know you had a great presentation about boundaries a couple months ago.
Oh, thank you.
That was great. Learned a lot. You miss out on the opportunities to find the common ground, to build, to move on. And I think people are really when we have the different parties, you're able to raise money easily because you get your cheerleading squad, right? Like, support this team over here. No, my team. There's, that's why we watch sports. We don't like both teams switching over and shooting hoops. Like, if the Knicks and the Spurs all of a sudden, like, forget about the championship. We're just going to switch and we're just going to play ball. That's not going to bring in the vendors and the commercials and the shoe deals, right?
Right.
So that's one. Second of all, housing. You can't have a healthy family without a locked door. The physiologically, if you don't feel safe in your environment, your brain never gets out of survival mode. You can't critically think. You're making decisions on the fly. And a lot of times those decisions, like shoplifting, like trying to find food, trying to find shelter, self-medicating because of stress, right? You can't have all of those. You can't have a healthy person without a safe place to sleep. So housing. And then, of course, jobs and healthcare, all that kind of comes into one big thing.
So it sounds like those will be your top priorities.
Yeah. Well, education's up there, but education and our funding education is in our Constitution. We should abide by the Constitution that we have as law. I put my hand on the Bible and swore to the Constitution when I was in the Navy. I will be doing the same with the Washington State Constitution. So education is an issue, but it shouldn't be because it's in our Constitution.
Yeah.
Fund it. Because future prevention is cheaper than the cure. Educating the youth and encouraging them to grow and be the creative people they deserve to be, the shining stars in whatever entity they chose to go into, trades, 4-year degree, arts, music, it doesn't matter. But you have to educate them and teach them and cultivate. Otherwise, you're not going to bear the fruit that, that you and I will get to benefit from whenever, we aren't working, right? Whenever we rely on their support to ensure that we have a safe house and a safe place.
Wow. Sounds like you're going to do some incredible work for the people.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really enjoying learning and listening.
Yeah, I think that's what we need more of, is more legislators that are willing to listen. You cited Ruth Bader Ginsburg as somebody that influenced you. What about her leadership resonates with you? I did get that right? You're a big fan of hers?
I am a big fan. Actually, my keychain, I don't have it on me. It's a little mini Ruth Ginsburg doll. I have pictures of her. I have a candle and homage of her. It was the fact that, willing to say that to lean into, I disagree with you. I disagree with the decisions. Her big thing is I dissent. And at the same time,
that's so gangster.
It is. But she would dissent. She would criticize. She would grow. She would offer the pathway to fix the problem. So it wasn't just dissent. It was, well, you could do this. I dissent, and here's how we can actually make this work. It wasn't just a flat out, no, this is not my game. It's like, this is not my game. And by the way, this is the asymmetrical way we can solve this problem. And she did it over and over and over again. Yeah. And also the I find that the relationship that she has with her partner is very similar to that relationship with my husband. He is my cheerleader. He was her cheerleader. The family values that they held strong and dear of loyalty to each other is something that Sean and I carry. Whether or not we realize it or not, it's one of those. It's one of those moments.
Have you ever? Do you often change your mind after listening to somebody else with a different perspective?
I do, and well, yeah, that's my job. That's my job. It's not just listening to their perspective, it's also following the data that leads into it, because we are, people can be influenced. I mean, look, people ate Tide Pods.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just about listening to people, it is realizing the data and the stories that follow what their opinions are. Like, for instance, I was not heavily aware of, we were talking about sex trafficking and things like that, but a quarter of our incarcerated people in Washington state were formerly foster children and wards of the state.
Wow.
Yes. Data. That data changed how I've always been, empathetic and listening to whole stories of the lived existence of people. But there's no accountability to us as a state about how these children who were, for whatever reason, taken from their biological parents, up through their teenage years into the world of sex trafficking, drug use. I mean, because it's coping, it's mechanisms, it's stress. The stress level, I can't imagine what that would be like, especially with an undeveloped, brain, a growing, learning brain. We have no accountability to that as a state. And instead of trying to help those at 18 to try to navigate through therapy and skill training and confidence building and trust, we just put them in prison to solve the problem. And
it's actually making it worse.
And the recidivism rate is very, very high for our wards at the state. I mean, so there's that completely changed my perspective of what, leads people to a change. It enhanced, it's a better word, my perspective of what, our incarcerated population is, where they came from, what the cards they were dealt. I come from, I'm from a poor place in West Virginia. But as an adult, I recognize and acknowledge the privilege that I have of being a cis white woman. And that disparity of inequality bothers me to a point where it's enough to, it can send someone down a really, really dark tunnel, because, the fairness complex is very, very real in my brain. And my job, through data, is to figure out how we can build an equitable world for everyone. There's no reason why someone should not have the same opportunities that I've had. There's none. No logical reasons. There's reasons why, but there are no logical. If you look at how our country was built, how even the basis of slavery in the South, and how those families who were invested and brutally used to build our country, how that pathway still continues to a land of inequality, even though they were, by against their will, leaving their homes, have built our country into where we are today, and there's still no acknowledgement of how we treated people. Same thing with our indigenous population. The inequalities in their healthcare access is disgusting. How we care for those who cared for this land before we were here is disgusting. And we need to do better.
Sounds like you're going to fight for us to do better here in Washington.
Well, I sit in the discomfort of being in this position. Like, discomfort as in like the nature of the inequality and knowing I'm on the benefacting area of that inequality. I find that to be uncomfortable, and sitting in that discomfort motivates me to drive me to lift and raise others up.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Is that?
No, it does. What do you say? Like, I immediately thought about the folks that say there's no such thing as white privilege. That's BS. What do you say to that? Because I never can have I never can think of anything intelligent to say to those folks.
Well, I mean, and I don't, people who don't recognize the meal in front of them, their life's meal that they've been delivered, right? It hurts to acknowledge that you have privilege. It's that discomfort thing. Like, I recognize that I'm uncomfortable sitting in it, but I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to absorb in it. I'm going to do something about it. People like to believe that they were self-made. It brings their ego joy. They sit up taller. They're prouder. Wherein truly it is the fact that the generations that came before you, whether and your skin color and a whole bunch of other factors played into your success as a human being. And part of my, working through the discomfort is when I see ICU nurses of color, I recruit them immediately to become nurse anesthetists, like in my job, because they're going to have a harder process of getting into school than my white counterparts. If you look at the profession, it is a majority white profession. And I am a small piece of that puzzle. There are a diversity CRNA who does absolutely amazing work, literally changing the face of nurse anesthesia. But I'm taking their lead into their recruitment to help build in that, because I was given this meal showed up for me. It's my time and my turn to provide for others, to give them the same opportunity to have a similar life experience. Wow.
If we, how are you doing? You still doing good on time?
I am here all day for you. Like I said, you and I could probably like hang out for days.
This is dope. I love this. I love the fact that this is like, these are the things that you're thinking about. I love the evolution of you and what you're going to take to the state house. We desperately need more of this. Desperately need more of this. And so I'm really appreciative to you for giving me your time. This is super cool. I was curious if we sat down 4 years from now, what would success look like to you?
Oh, wow. Are we dreaming or are we talking reality?
Probably, I would say reality. I mean, one thing that I think about is, success. There's some things that I'm thinking, like, success for you is your campaign. You get voted in. What does that look like?
One, we're going to take a significant look at like the foster system, the incarcerated, those who are incarcerated, their rights. That doesn't, and another thing is that this is not a either or. Like, I've been the victim of sexual violence. So I consider myself a survivor. I would not be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through that. Right. And I honor that place in my life, and how it evolved me as a human being. You can care for the incarcerated and the victims at the same time. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can lift both. You can support both. This duality doesn't really need to exist. It makes us feel good to choose a team, to have a team. But I believe in, I also believe in survivors, having been one. But I think that especially our youthful incarcerated, our young incarcerated, we could do much better by them. Especially when you have a frontal brain that you're not used to controlling, right? Your decision-making skills, like the human brain isn't evolved to its final evolution, I think, until you're 25. So the fact that we're treating 17, and there's always exceptions, like, you have a mass shooter, let's a different conversation. But someone who, is shoplifted or, pick something. There's lessons to be learned. There's training. We can figure out why we chose that, why they made those decisions. How do we fix that way first before we put this individual into jail and prison and have them be, staying there for, once, you're in that system, you get involved in a culture that becomes community for you. And you keep going back because there's no intervention to figure out why. So I really would love to see that. I would like to, we talked about the sexual trafficking. I would like to navigate that world and the buying of sex to change from stealing a candy bar to a Class C felony. There's a lot of the undercurrent and then things that go bump in the night that people don't like to believe do exist. And I think we need to address those if we're going to lift up everybody. I would like to see, public safety wise, a moratorium on protesters for those outside of healthcare facilities, outside of unions and bargaining rights. But when you work in reproductive healthcare, you are threatening the access to care for those who are seeking it, not just women, right? Men too, by intimidation. And that isn't what freedom is. So I would like to have a moratorium on protests or activists outside of healthcare. And that also would include the CVSs where the anti-vax people who don't believe in vaccinations can't intimidate those who are seeking them. That includes reproductive health care. Lord knows, with the nature of our country, someone protesting cancer treatments because someone smoked their entire lives.
I never thought about it like that.
It's not out of the, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have thought about that. Now, well, they asked for it. They smoked their entire lives. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, stop spending money on them, spend money on this instead. So, and really to decrease the intimidation factor that patients have when going into facilities. I would like to really advance, healthcare for all, to decrease the cost of healthcare for people. And finally, something that would be super simple would be the bottle bill. So recycling, is a profit, it's literally is a recycling thing, or people get, the 6 cents when they return the cans. We had that when we were kids. Did you have that when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Bottles of Coke or the milk jugs back to the
and then in the garage, you always had like the can crusher.
Yes!
Yeah.
You want to stop, you want to help out people, who are in a state of homelessness. You know what? $4 is a meal. That's a lot of cans, but that's being like you in a way you're helping people lift up into, maybe a better circumstance or an opportunity. One final thing I would like is actually the bottle bill. I can't believe we don't have one. Is offering post office boxes or mail boxes for unsheltered and homeless people, so they are able to either A, get documents, or 2, have a place to send paychecks. You can't get a job if you don't have a home address. So, and that goes with housing. But for me to run my campaign, I think it was like for the year for my mailbox, which has my Ruth Bader Ginsburg doll, it was over $200 for the year.
Wow.
And I don't know many people who are starving, hungry, and unsheltered willing to spend $200. So a federal service, which I pay for through taxes, postage, have to raise money for a $200 for a mailbox so they can get a paycheck. It's just this negative cycle that just continues to downward spiral. We are not lifting these people up to a land of success where they're able to be viable. And then we blame them for it, which just shocks me.
Crazy.
I mean, like, how do you not have someone you yell at them, they go get a job. You can't afford a post office box to collect your paycheck. You can't open a bank account with, $2. And I'd also do it. I'd love to have a state-funded bank, but I know that's a long shot too. But that's something I would definitely support, because you can't get a home loan if you that isn't predatory if your credit score is less than 500.
Right.
And you have when your district is 40% borderline breath to breath, and only 14 or 19% of those get SNAP benefits. You can't get generational wealth without predatory loans.
I like that. That sounds like a successful 4 years. I love it.
I mean, it might take me a couple years to get oriented, but yeah, I mean, like, those are things that I advocate for. It's not about me. It's the we. How do we lift up the greater we? We are greater than me. And that's the perspective that I bring, I think, to Olympia.
Oh, I love it. For the last thing, I want to give you the last word, and we will close. I'll bring you up on the screen, and I want you to just pretend with me. This will be, let's say this is the last thing that the voters see before they get ready to go to the polls, and they're trying to decide, like, who are they going to pick? Can you talk to them for me?
Yeah. Hi, voters. My name's Ashley Fedan. I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a nurse. I've spent my life, I'm 49 years old, I spent my life from 18 to now taking care of people, both in hospitals and ambulatory surgery centers and in all walks of life, in our military, taking care of those who are taking care of us. I ask that you offer me the same trust that patients offer me every day, to take care of you, to make sure that you get the opportunities in our state and our country that you deserve, just living here, just being here, just being a part of our community. It would be an honor to take care of you. It would be an honor to build your trust, to lean into you, to listen to you, to sit with you as we troubleshoot and fix the problems that many of us are facing and some of us don't like to talk about. I am that candidate that will be with you, sit with you, walk this crazy walk with you to ensure that our district, the 11th LD legislative district, is taken care of, that we build economic growth, we bring family growth, we bring back our nature of being neighborly to each other and supporting each other as we continue throughout the next upcoming years. I don't look at a voter registration card when I take care of people when they're in front of me. I will not be doing the same thing when looking at legislation and caring for our community. I appreciate your support and I ask for your vote. Thank you so much.
Ooh, that was great. If you enjoyed this podcast, well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you're still here with us, what I want you to do is head over to your favorite podcast and streaming network and give us a download, subscribe to the channel, and also let us know what you think about the show. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something amazing.